The transport shuttle descended through the violet haze of the alien sky, its engines a dull roar that silenced the curious crowds gathered below. Inside, the human soldier sat, his uniform still carrying the fine dust of a conquered world. He was the only one in the hold. The others in his unit had chosen their rewards already. Tracts of land, titles, advanced technology, fortunes in crystalline credits. He had asked for time. The great hall of the Celestial Concord was a monument to cold beauty, all soaring arches of polished obsidian and light that seemed to emanate from the air itself. The ruling syndicate, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful species, sat upon elevated tiers, looking down at the single human figure who stood at perfect, relaxed attention. To one side, in a lower row, sat the spoils of the Felinor War. They were the 7 remaining members of the defeated planet's royal family, each awaiting allocation, or as the grim euphemism went, protective assimilation. The Grand Coordinator, a being with skin like brushed chromium, spoke, its voice amplified. Soldier of Terra, you have rendered an exceptional service to the Concord. Your actions at the Breach of Sorrows turned the tide. You have waived standard compensation. State your desire. The soldier's gaze moved across the line of Felinor royals. They were felinoid, slender with fine, velvety fur, and large, expressive eyes. 6 of them held themselves with a residual, trembling pride. Their postures were erect, their chins lifted, though their eyes held a deep, unmistakable fear. They were impressive, the kind of prizes one would display as a testament to victory. Then there was the 7th. She was smaller, her fur a plain, dun gray, compared to the striking stripes and spots of her siblings. She sat slightly apart, her shoulders rounded, her gaze fixed on the floor. One of her ears had a small old tear at its tip. She was the youngest, famously overlooked, considered a burden even by her own family before the war. The public records listed her as having a nervous disposition, unsuited for diplomacy or rule. She was the weakest link in a broken chain. The hall held its breath. The soldier took a step forward, his boots echoing on the stone. I choose her, he said, his voice calm and clear. He pointed. The youngest princess. A wave of astonished murmurs rippled through the syndicate. One of the other Felinor princes, a male with proud striped shoulders, actually hissed in a mixture of disgust and relief. The chosen princess did not look up. She seemed to shrink further into herself, as if hoping the floor would swallow her whole. The Grand Coordinator tilted its head. An interesting selection. The Concord approves the transfer. The unit is yours. The wording was deliberately clinical. The soldier gave a single sharp nod. He walked to the lower row, stopping before the small figure. He did not reach for a chain or a control collar. He simply bent his knees slightly to bring himself to her eye level, though she still refused to look at him. Come with me, he said, his tone not an order, but an invitation. You are safe now. Her large amber eyes flickered up to his for a fraction of a second, filled with a confusion so profound it bordered on pain. Then she stood, moving with a silent, resigned grace, and followed 2 paces behind him as he left the hall. The stares of the syndicate and the mixed pity and scorn from her own family followed them out. Their journey to the human sector was silent. He piloted a small, private craft. He offered her food, which she refused with a small shake of her head. He showed her to a small but comfortable cabin. Rest, he said. It is a long trip. When they arrived at his dwelling, a modest habitat unit on a peaceful, leafy human colony world, she followed him inside. For days, she was a ghost. She ate only when he was not in the room. She flinched at sudden movements. She spent hours staring out the window at the unfamiliar green trees and blue sky. He never pressed. He never commanded. He simply went about his routine. He maintained a small garden. He read from datapads. He cooked simple meals and left a portion for her. He spoke to her, not expecting a reply, commenting on the weather, the garden's progress, the harmless foolishness of the local avian creatures. The first break in the silence came 2 weeks later. He was repairing a malfunctioning coolant unit in the main room, his hands stained with lubricant. He muttered in human language, a soft, frustrated sound. From the doorway, a small, hesitant voice spoke. The tertiary flow valve is reverse-threaded. He froze, then slowly turned. She was standing there, one hand on the frame, her ears flattened slightly as if expecting a blow. He looked at the part in his hand, then back at her. "You are right," he said, a slow smile spreading across his face. He did not approach. "Thank you." She vanished back into her room. But the next day, she was in the doorway again as he worked. She did not speak, but she watched. The day after, she pointed silently to a misplaced tool. A week later, she was sitting at the table, sketching the internal schematics of the house's environmental system on a spare piece of film with precise, elegant lines identifying 3 more inefficiencies. He brought her tools. He asked questions. What about the primary power coupling? He learned her intelligence was not merely technical. It was profound, systemic, and breathtakingly fast. She saw connections where others saw only isolated components. One evening, as they sat in a now comfortable silence, she finally asked the question that had haunted her. Why? Her voice was a whisper. They were stronger. They were beautiful. They would have been better trophies. Why choose the weakest? He put down his data pad and looked at her, his expression solemn. I was not looking for a trophy. I was looking for a person they would not miss. She stared at him, her ears swiveling forward, the ancient tear at the tip of one catching the light. I fought at the breach of sorrows, he began, his eyes looking at a memory far away. I saw the Feliner not as the Syndicate paints them savages to be pacified, but as a people defending their own. Their command structure was brilliant. Their tactics were adaptive, elegant. They lost only because of our numbers, our brute force. I studied the records after the ceasefire. Every strategic insight, every clever logistical workaround, every innovation that cost us dearly, it was not the work of the proud generals or the snarling princes. He leaned forward, meeting her gaze. It was traced to the private servers of the youngest royal, the one they kept out of sight, the one they thought was broken by a childhood accident, by her diffidence. You. She did not deny it. She simply bowed her head, the weight of the secret immense. The Syndicate would have dissected the proud ones, he continued, his voice low. They would have been interrogated, stripped of their pride, turned into symbols. But they would have never seen the true architect. They dismissed you. So did your own family. To them, you were worthless. To me, you were the only one worth saving. Not because you were weak, but because you were the hidden strength. I chose you because in their arrogance, they would let you go. Tears, silent and glistening, traced paths through the fine fur on her cheeks. It was not sorrow, but a release of a lifetime of isolation. The dam broke. She spoke of the years of hiding her mind, of being told her thoughts were unsuitable, of the accident that had not broken her body, but had given her the perfect excuse to retreat into the world of systems and schematics where she was free. She spoke of the war, of directing defenses from a hidden terminal, of the agony of seeing her strategies overcome by sheer, relentless mass. He listened. For the first time, she was not a prize, a prisoner, or a weakling. She was a person, seen and understood. Time passed, not in days, but in shared projects. They built things. They upgraded the habitat. They designed a compact generator that hummed with silent efficiency. Their trust became a tangible thing, built not on orders, but on mutual respect. The news came a standard year later. The Felinar integration was failing. The proud royals, now scattered, caused constant problems. The conquered planet was restive, its infrastructure crumbling in baffling ways. The Syndicate was pouring resources into a black hole. The soldier received a sealed communication. It was from the Grand Coordinator. The message was simple. The Concord required stability. Unconventional solutions were now being considered. His unique asset was of interest. He showed the message to her. She read it, her intelligent eyes scanning the lines. "They do not want me," she said softly. "They want the ghost in their machines. They want the mind they ignored." "What do you want?" he asked. It was the only question that ever mattered to him now. She looked out at the garden they had built together, at the human sky that no longer felt alien. "I want to fix what I broke," she said. "But not for them. For my people. And I cannot do it from a cage, or as a Syndicate asset." He nodded. "Then we will set the terms." The meeting was not in the Great Hall, but via secure channel. The soldier stood beside her chair, a silent sentinel. She spoke, her voice now firm, clear, and devoid of fear. She laid out a series of non-negotiable points. Full pardon and autonomy for her. A civilian advisory role, with direct oversight of Felinar restoration projects. No Syndicate military presence on the core worlds. And his permanent status as her liaison and protector. The Grand Coordinator, faced with a costly quagmire, agreed. The might of the Celestial Concord had been defeated not by a soldier's weapon, but by his discernment. He had seen the crack in their victory where a seed of truth could grow.